Hi everyone. In today's video, I want to talk about how to solve the FizzBuzz exercise for like programming interviews. That's pretty common. It was actually the one of my first interviews exercise that I ever had to do, and I didn't do a pretty good job at it, to say say the least. It was actually like in a whiteboard, and I had to do like code with all the symbols and everything. So. Anyways, so yeah, I wanted to solve this particular exercise, but also do it in a task-driven development way. So we're gonna be writing as minimal code as possible, then running a unit test to confirm if the test it's if the code, I mean, it's doing what it's supposed to, and then we will go from there. So what the interviewer is gonna tell you is probably going along these lines. It's gonna tell you, hey, I want you to count the numbers from 1 to 15. And then if that particular number in the loop is divisible by 3, then I want you to print fizz. If it's divisible by 5, I want you to print buzz. And then if it's divisible by both of them, you're gonna print the FizzBuzz. So this will be the starting point. Then this is gonna be our first test. So we're not gonna move any further until we make this test pass. Now the naming convention for this test method is gonna look around these lines. There are a couple different ways to go about it, but this is the one I particularly like, which is first we mention which is the functionality or method we're gonna test. Then we mention some of the state that we're looking for during the test. And then what is the value that we expect? So it's return something. So here we currently don't even have a function for the FizzBuzz. So we're gonna create it using the IDE. I can generate that function really quick. And then we can set it up like this. Let me put a return value of a string. And then let's start from here. Right now, we can start doing the test. So if I go and assert that the FizzBuzz function is equal to, let's say, this is gonna run this function, and then we're gonna check if it says fizz or not. So let's run the test. Yep. All right. It says the test failed because we carry in this exception, no implementation error, because we have this to do function. In this particular programming language, which is Kotlin, we do have a dedicated function for to dos, so it's not like a regular command like this. So it will actually throw an exception, just so we don't forget to do it, right? So let's type something really minimal. Let's say we're gonna return some empty string. Run that again. And our test is still failing. But now look at the assertion. At the logs, I mean the exception logs. Now it's throwing a different one. It's an assertion error. It says the assertion failed. So that's good. Now let's see. If I make this change, will the test pass? All right, it passes. So our test is working correctly. Now we need to add an actual logic. So let's go ahead and revisit again the requirement. So as we go through the loop, when it's divisible by 3, we're gonna print it. Okay, so let's add this. We're gonna pass n, which is the number, and we can rename it to a little clearer, and then add that as a parameter from a function. Get int default values, and there we go. Now that we have this our parameter, we can add some logic. So let's say if number, then we're gonna use this particular operator, which is the modulus, and then this operation, if it's gonna evaluate that if the given number divided by 3 gives me the residual, I think it's called, of 0, it means that it's divisible by 3. So in this case, we're gonna return fizz, and then just so the function doesn't yell at me, I need to pass another return statement. So just in case this evaluation doesn't get executed, we're gonna just put uh, an empty string. So let's run the test again. Now the test is gonna fail because we're not passing any values to the fizz function. So let's see. Just to uh make it work, I'm gonna pass 0, but this is gonna fail, right? Alright, it worked because 0 is actually divisible by 3. But our loop is not starting from 0, it's starting from 1. So what would be the first value that can be evaluated? It will be 3. But just to see it fail, let's try it with a 2. There we go. So if we change it to 3, the test passes. Awesome. Now if we change it to 6, which is one of the values that should get this if statement to run, give it a run. There we go. Okay, so it's working. So let's put it back to 3, just to keep it really simple. Don't really care about this value. And now let's continue. So the next statement, we got the first one already, right? Put it like an X just to mark it that we got it working. Put this here. All right, so we need to print buzz if it's divisible by 5. So we're gonna start writing some similar code. So let's copy this, place it over here, change this value, and then this value. All right. Now, I would like to then write another test method. So it would be test method, FizzBuzz, then is multiple 5 returns bus. Yep. Now this particular test framework is adding the test prefix, but you can get rid of it, doesn't really matter. Now similar to this, we can copy this code, place it over here. Now change up the values. Buzz. And now just to see it failed at first, right? I'm gonna run this test just like this with a 4. Alright, so it's failing because if you take a look here, the number 4 is not divisible by 3, nor is it divisible by 5, so it's never getting to the buzzword. So if we put a 5 in there, now it should work. There we go. Passing. Awesome. Now let's move over to the next one here. Now it needs to be divisible by both 3 and 5. Now let's see here, we're gonna copy this statement here. Now we can make a use of a I think a combination of building expressions. So we can type the 5 equals 0. So what these two symbols is gonna, it means and. So it'll be like and. So it's a logical operation where we're gonna evaluate first the one on the left, then the one on the right, and then combine them both. If they both matches, then it's gonna have to print FizzBuzz. Now let's try another test method. Put FizzBuzz is multiple of both 3 and 5. Return FizzBuzz. Yep. Copy the code from the function on top. Change the value. Now, what kind of number can be divided by both 3 and 5? Well, a quick way to do it would be to just calculate 3 by 5 is 15. Now we can use that number here, right? But first, let's see if we can make it fail. So let's put 14, then run the test. Right, so that failed. Awesome. Now let's put 15. Oh, wait a moment. So it's failing, but we have we have followed the instructions, I think, right? Like we have these 3 tests, then we have these 3 statements. Now this is the tricky part about this interview question. In order to find that what's going on, we'll have to do a small change here. Now remember that our function is returning an empty string. Let's change that. Let's change that it's gonna return number, but then convert to a string. Now, if I run the main function, let's see what it prints. Change this print statement to a print line, so get a little easier results, right? Easier to read. All right, here we go. So look at the result. It says 1, 2, fizz, 4, buzz, and then fizz, which is okay. Then when we get to the 14, it's printing the number, but then 15 is not. It's printing fizz. Now, in order to find out why that happens, you normally have to do the following. You put a breakpoint here, then you will watch as the code gets executed. But since I already know the answer, what is happening is that since this if statement is first, when we evaluating is 15 uh, um, divided by 3 equals 0, then this one is gonna get executed. So it's going for the first one. So in order to fix this, we just have to move this if statement all the way to the top. Now this is gonna make the code work. So just so I'm not going crazy, let's execute it one more time. There we go. Now to confirm that we didn't introduce any unexpected results, let's change it back to 14 and make sure that it fails. There we go. Now, if we want to double check it or triple checking in this case, let's change it so let's run this main function and watch the logs again. There we go. Now we got the FizzBuzz, but notice how any of the other instances where the number was divisible by any other number, it didn't print the FizzBuzz. So that fixed our problem. Now, this particular implementation, we can leave it right there for the interview, but you may also get asked to clean up this code to make it more readable. Now, how can we do that? Let me take out this prefix. There we go. Now, the first thing I would do is that this unit test can be written in another way, which is a lot cooler. So let me copy this real quick, put it over here. Now, these 2 errors are because they are matching the same name. But in Kotlin, we can use this particular operator, put a warning inside this. And that's gonna change the way that we see it in the console, the task console. So we can say it's multiple, like regular English of 3, then return fizz. So we can get rid of this, delete these lines, and then run the entire test just to see, just so you can see the results. There we go. Now look how different it looks here, right? Our test classes doesn't really need to change their name, but look how more readable that is for us when we're going through all the tests scenarios that we can come up with. So let's change hide that real quick, bring this up a little. Now let's change these other method names. So it's multiple of 5, then return bus, similar to this one. Multiple of both 3 and 5, then return FizzBuzz. Now notice a thing. We can actually rephrase this. If you know a little bit of math, come up that in order to be both divisible for these numbers, it can be by one of the multiples of them, which in this case would be 15. Now that's gonna help us a little bit, but also how we clean up our code a little. Let me run the test just another time. Now take a look at that. That is so much better. All right, so let's hide that panel real quick. Now head over to the main code. See how we can improve this. So quickly here, we can change this. So we can do refactor, then extract a function and name that function is divisible by number. Oh, my bad. I've been well, yeah, I could probably use the same words, but more about the concept of dividing. So I think it uh we can probably use either divisible or multiple. Let's continue with multiple. Is a multiple of yep, number. Now the ID is telling me that it detected that there are a couple more places where we can do that, but let's not do it. Keep it simple. Now notice how there was another function created over here. Now this syntaxes can be a little weird for people, but this is the same as doing like this, opening these braces here, reformatting, adding a return. And then we can just set up the method to be a Boolean return type. But this is much simpler if you just convert it like this. So it's just a one line function, so we don't really need to clutter the code that much. Now, now that we did that here, we can also do the same in this line. So let's select everything here. Bam. It's multiple of 5. Nope, sorry, number. And then what can we do here? This is the same statement that we were facing when we're naming our test methods, right? So we can do the same. Instead of doing like 2 times the same is multiple, this full of, oh, no, I need to change it, sorry. This, by this, there we go, and by this. So instead of doing this expression, we can simplify it. Right, so it's multiple of 15 right away. So just to make sure that we didn't break anything, we should have done another test run for each particular function, but we can do it in one go. So let's run that. And there we go. We got one of them working. Now two of the other are failing. So let's see. What did we break? This one is passing. This one is not. Oh, there we go. We're not doing the right type of execution. So we need to make this also a parameter. So let's see. device of number. This is where the rename it. I'm gonna have to rename it. So let's do refactor, rename, divisible by, and then we can add another value that's by. Now number divided by equals 0. Here we go. Now we need to pass another argument, right? Number from the loop. Number and number. Now run the tests. There we go. Now everything is green again, right? So with this particular example, you can see how from just a very, very simple uh, exercise, we can get a lot of value from this methodology of writing the test first, and then as we make changes, as we refactor our code, we can always rely on this test to keep us from introducing new bugs into the system or breaking uh, features that were already working before. So that's it for now. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments or follow me on social media and reach me out whatever you want, like Twitter or dev.to. I'll see you guys later in the next one.